Good morning. My name is McLaughlin. I'm an engineer with Donegal Council, and I'm currently managing the Interreg-funded cross-border project called CatchmentCare. Our thanks to the EPA for inviting us to join this year's annual event. And I know our time is limited, so this is just going to be a very high level and a speedy overview of CatchmentCare. Our project is just under 14 million over 5 years as part of an Interreg programme for Northern Ireland and the border region. And our match funding is kindly provided by the departments shown north and south. And just to credit some of our project partners for some of the slides to follow. There's 8 partners involved, with shown on the left of the screen, and Donegal County Council are the lead partner in this case. Our project is to establish 3 water quality improvement projects in the Arnie and the Blackwater and the Finn catchments, and that's a combined area of 2,300 square kilometres that we're trying to influence change in. We're also tasked with putting down 50 groundwater monitoring stations in the region. So our project will be delivered through a combination of policy actions, but also catchment and water body actions, and then thirdly, enhancing the capacity of local stakeholders to contribute to improvements, which is very relevant to this morning's theme on communities in action. And for that reason, my colleague Andy Griggs from Armagh City, Banbridge, Craigavon Council will focus on that community aspect in the second part of this presentation. And again, this is our project shown on the left of the screen with some other EU projects or some projects of national interest. To remind us of recent trends in water quality taken from the EPA Water Quality in Ireland report, and a slide I've borrowed from Mary Gurry. High status water bodies are declining, and by contrast, poor status water bodies are increasing, the opposite to what we'd like to see. And this is what we have found in our research as well. This is our WFD status dashboard for the Finn. And over the period 2009 to 2018, we saw 5 good status water bodies deteriorate to 2, and poor status water bodies increasing out to 13. So there's certainly a problem there. Incidentally, story maps describing the catchment characterizations from our scoping work on this project can be found on the catchmentcare.eu website. Now, for some of the work that's going on, in summary, at the Finn, Lochs Agency are leading out on in-stream and riparian improvements, but also looking at barrier removal. And they're investigating a chemical export issue, which has now been attributed to sheep dip practices and forestry activities. Because the Finn's a protected area, Lochs Agency are challenged with a lot of hoops to go through before they get any work done. And again, from our GIS dashboards, this is looking at forestry. Approximately 1/5 of the Finn is in forestry, shown here broken down by public and private, but also broken down by water body, and then the map identifying priority areas that we would like to focus on. The corresponding dashboard for sheep dip, again broken down by water body, and the map is showing clusters of where sheep dips are that we might focus on. Moving on to the Arnie, this is from our groundwater team, from some of the monitoring that's going on in that area, in particular in around the Marble Arch and Claddagh River area, where they might do work in conjunction with Marble Arch Geopark. Also, our groundwater team are collaborating with one of our community groups on a dye tracing in karst locations, which is very, very interesting and great potential for this project. Also in the Arnie, IFI are progressing in stream and riparian works in conjunction with landowners, working through appropriate assessment screening and liaising with the various agencies on the consents required. They're working with our community groups and our groundwater team. Over in the Blackwater, similar works, in this case being led out by Armagh City, Banbridge, Craigavon Council, in conjunction with IFI on their riparian and in-stream works, working through the consents with the agencies required. But they're also working with the farming community on soil sampling and doing that in conjunction with AFBI, or the Agri-Food and Bioscience Institute. AFBI are shown on the screen here, working with 17 selected farms. They're doing farm nutrient management practices. They're doing farm scale studies, agronomic trials, and farmyard surveys, all towards changing or driving to zero the the P inputs on land, which is making its way to the watercourses. They're also looking at the lag time and the cost effectiveness of achieving WFD. And they're working in conjunction with Chagas on the soil phosphorus index systems and how that might be harmonized across the two jurisdictions, the Olsen and Morgan systems. AFB are also delivering work with Willows on this project, looking at diffuse pollution, but also in conjunction with Ulster University on point source discharges. They're looking at enhancing 3 wastewater treatment plants with Willows. Shown on the left of the screen is how they've used LiDAR to identify the hydrological connectivity with watercourses and where buffers might be designed. And the same subcatchment, 22 hectares in elevation with controls at it and how that looks planted out. We had a separate conference on this in Dundalk in early March, and some of the presentation, or all of the presentations from that event are on our catchmentcare.eu website. And just a glance from that event, which is very, very interesting on the day. And there's a paper to follow from that as well. Ulster University are progressing work on the feasibility of lake remediation via phosphorus fixing. So they have draft reports on risk assessment and ecological effects. And they're working that through with the environment agencies north and south. They're working in conjunction with AFB on the Willows at Liscooley in the Finn, but also Cavanagro in the Blackwater, and some of the monitoring that's mentioned there on the screen. Ulster University are also working on the lag time on achieving WFD, and in this case using sediment cores from the Loch McNeen, upper and lower, and those will be dated to establish timelines for recovery of the lakes, but also looking at the suspended sediment present in the lakes during different weather conditions. On governance, the project has a steering committee and 3 subcommittees of that, one of which is shown on the screen, which is our WFD subcommittee. And that's led by the Lux Agency, and as shown, there's some very good cross-border representation from national stakeholders, and it's just reflective of one of the 3 subcommittees, which are very interesting and an integral part of our project. So at this stage, I'm going to hand you over to Andy Griggs, who will focus on the community engagement aspect for the remainder of the presentation. And once again, thanks to the EPA for the invite, and I wish you well for the rest of the event. Thank you.